Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our study in the Old Testament book of Ezra. I'm glad that you've joined me today as we continue our lesson that is called The Temple Was Rebuilt. And last time we got into chapter 4, and we discovered that the enemies of Judah and Benjamin, they had approached Zerubbabel and asked to help build the temple. And we know that Zerubbabel rejected them. He said, "You may have no part in this work. We alone will build the temple for the Lord God of Israel, just as King Cyrus of Persia commanded us." Zerubbabel and the Israelites knew then, just as we know now, that the enemies were up to no good. So because of the rejection, the people caused trouble and hindered the work on the temple the entire reign of King Cyrus of Persia, and it lasted until King Darius of Persia took the throne. But then in chapter 5, we see a newfound hope. In Ezra chapter 5, verses 1 and 2, we read, "When the prophets Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel, who was over them, then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Jeshua the son of Jozadak arose and began to rebuild the house of God which is in Jerusalem, and the prophets of God were with them, supporting them." So after a long pause, they finally get back to work on rebuilding the temple, and they have the support of the prophets. But this fellow named Tattenai, who is the governor of the province beyond the river, he and his friends came and asked the Israelites, "Who gave you permission to rebuild the temple?" Well, the elders of the Israelites responded that King Cyrus of Persia had given them permission. So they were not prevented from continuing the building at that point. But Tattenai wrote a letter to King Darius and told him all about it, and ended the letter like this: "Now, if it pleases the king, let a search be conducted in the king's treasure house, which is there in Babylon, if it be that a decree was issued by King Cyrus to rebuild this house of God at Jerusalem. And let the king send to us his decision concerning this matter." Well, that is what the king wanted, and so he had the archives searched for such a decree, and they found it. In Ezra chapter 6, verses 1 through 5, we read, "Then King Darius issued a decree, and search was made in the archives where the treasures were stored in Babylon. In Ecbatana, in the fortress, which is in the province of Media, a scroll was found, and there was written in it as follows: Memorandum. In the first year of King Cyrus, Cyrus the king issued a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. Let the temple, the place where the sacrifices are offered, be rebuilt, and let its foundations be retained, its height being 60 cubits, and its width 60 cubits, with 3 layers of huge stones and 1 layer of timbers, and let the cost be paid from the royal treasury. Also let the gold and silver utensils of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took from the temple in Jerusalem and brought to Babylon, be returned and brought to their places in the temple in Jerusalem, and you shall put them in the house of God." So finally, after so long, they get to rebuild the temple. King Darius ordered that the Jews be left alone. He also ordered that they be provided with whatever they needed for the completion of the temple and also for the dedication of the temple. In chapter 6, verse 15, we read, "This temple was completed on the 3rd day of the month of Adar. It was the 6th year of the reign of King Darius." God promised it would happen. The people boldly obeyed, and God kept his promise. God always keeps his promises. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you soon. God bless you.